Well, good morning. So we were talking about John Gottman's book, Seven Principles for Making a Good Marriage. And the first principle is knowing and understanding your partner. It's important, but happily married couples go farther. They show their fondness and admiration for each other. And think about it, none of us are perfect, but your energy really follows your attention, all right? And you can put your attention on your partner's positive traits or you can put them on negative traits, but it's a choice. And he shares some research in this area because he says sometimes couples resist searching for and expressing gratitude for their spouse's positive behavior because they tell me doing so feels phony. But he says developing a positive habit doesn't sugarcoat a relationship. Instead, it resets it to a more realistic perspective. Just knowing this can make all the difference for couples who are feeling pessimistic about their partner in marriage. And he quotes some research from Elizabeth Robinson and Gail Price that brings home this happy truth. He says, they had objective, trained observers count how many positive acts they witnessed between a couple in the course of an evening. Then they asked the spouses themselves to tally their positive interactions. When the researchers compared the scores, the couples gave themselves with those of the When the researchers compared the scores the couples gave themselves with those of the objective observers, they discovered that couples who described themselves as unhappily married only noticed half of the positive interactions that actually occurred. Because they were so used to turning into their partner's mistakes, they each missed a full 50% of their partner's positive actions. Interesting little stat. Anyway, then he has readers fill out a fondness and appreciation or admiration questionnaire to get a sense of their own fondness and admiration system. And again, a score of 10 or above on true answers is good, below 10, not so good. But what struck me was his assertion of how important fondness and admiration are for a relationship. He states, they are crucial to the long-term happiness of a relationship because they prevent contempt. Remember one of the four marriage-killing four horsemen? From becoming an overwhelming presence in your life. Contempt is a corrosive that, over time, breaks down the bond between husband and wife. The better in touch you are with your deep-seated positive feelings for each other, the less likely that you will act with contempt toward your spouse when you have a difference of opinion. Pretty important. So then he goes on and lists 4 exercises that can help rebuild fondness and admiration. The first exercise is a list of about 60 statements of affirmation and appreciation. And he has couples, each partner pick 5 and share that. And I've done this in the office, and what it does, it helps people get a wider range. Like sometimes people can focus on the same thing. I appreciate dinner. I appreciate, giving me time to sleep in or whatever. But this, with 60 different appreciations, it widens the view a bit, and the list can help couples rediscover something they've misplaced. A second and longer exercise is geared toward helping couples recall why they connected in the first place. So the first part is about your history. The second part is your philosophy of marriage. And again, by recalling what got people together in the first place, it often can recharge the relationship. Third exercise is called cherishing your partner. And cherishing is a habit of mind in which, when you're separated during the course of the day, you maximize thoughts of your partner's positive qualities and minimize thoughts of negative ones. And then the final exercise is, obviously, again, a longer one. It's a 7-week course in fondness and admiration, and it has something to do each day. But the key here is to do the exercise every day, whether you feel like it or not. And again, people say, well, that feels phony because I don't feel like doing it. So I counter by saying, well, as humans, we feel and we think and we act. So then I'll ask you, do you always feel like going to work? And often people say no. Do they go? Yes, because they think about it. They know they'll get fired, or they have a mortgage, or they have bills to pay, so they go. So they don't feel like going, but they think about it, and then they act, they go. But when they don't feel connected to their partner, sometimes they don't act. And what we know from neuroscience, and this is really over in the last 20, 25 years, that our brain is much more malleable than we originally thought. We can actually switch channels, a bit like switching channels on the TV. If you catch yourself focused on negative traits of your partner, just stop and switch channels and focus on the positive traits. And over time, the brain will develop new neural pathways and begin to see your partner in a more positive light, which obviously it did back in the romantic love stage. So the traits are there. You need to be aware of them. And then these new behaviors will become as automatic as the old, but they don't come as pleasure, not pain. So he concludes the chapter by saying, by the end of the 7 weeks, you're likely to find your perspective on your partner and your marriage far sunnier. Singing each other's praises can only benefit your marriage. But in order to ensure the gains continue, you need to put your respect and affection to work. In the next chapter, you'll do just that by using them as a foundation for revamping or reviving your marriage's sense of romance. And so we'll talk about principle number 3 next week, turn toward each other instead of away. Okay? So John Gottman's book, The 7 Stages to a Great Relationship. All right? Have a great week. And have a great weekend on the long weekend.